Hello and welcome to the TT Podcast, the podcast where we talk to one person from the world of the TT to discuss their lives, their journeys and their ambitions with the greatest motorsporting event in the world. And at one point in time, you were the greatest motorsporting rider around here, weren't you, Lee Johnston?
That's a bit of a statement, that is.
I mean, for that short period of time.
What, for them 2 laps when I won a race?
Listen, I know I'd take the mick out of you, but
I've still got my name on that trophy.
Exactly. It doesn't say only 2 laps, it says Lee Johnston.
Legend.
Boom. Lined up with all them others.
A real ones.
Yeah. Now, if you're wondering where my normal co-host is, he's off on his jollies. He's still seeking his fame and his fortune. He's now ended up in South America with a guy called Pablo. What he's up to, I just don't know. But while he's away, Lee Johnston's here to take his place. Looking forward to this one, mate?
Yeah, I am actually.
Yeah?
I am. Yeah, I know how hard he works and what he has to do to put them bikes
We're talking
on.
about Craig now, not Steve. Right? He is the busiest man in
Well, there's being
motorcycling.
busy and there's work and there's do you know what I mean? But yeah, honestly, I don't think a lot of people probably realise how much Craig puts into his effort, and me being in a similar position with a team, I understand, and he has a full-time job as well. So, which you have neither of them things. So.
No idea what you're on about. Absolutely no idea. But and what we've got with Craig, and it'll be interesting to chat about, is he's right there or thereabouts with you lot, with the cream of the crop, the factory riders, as it were. So it must be difficult for him
I completely understand in the sense that I know what being on the skirt of the
periphery.
I don't know what that word means, but yeah, being on the edge of a paid ride, a free ride, then the next step sort of thing. And I believe he's done nearly enough, or as enough at this year's TT, but it's not my decision to make that. So hopefully we can see what's happening. He might even know some news. He might know what he's going to tell us, what he's going to do.
Unless he rides for you.
If you've actually got some decent questions for him, we might get some.
Probably not. Let's get him on. Craig Neve, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
First question, what's your favourite episode of the podcast?
I was going to say the Lee Johnston one, but I thought I've got to say the Michael Rutt one, haven't I? Got to.
You have to.
I've got to.
Which episode was that?
3.
It was pretty much, it wasn't far off that, yeah.
I've listened to every single one.
Have you?
Single one, yeah.
See, I like to try and just
throw
people under the bus.
There you go.
And hope for best. I did it with Carl Cox, and he said, I actually listened to it as well. So I tried to throw you.
A victim of your own success, mate, aren't you?
Clearly.
He does not hear that very often. Have you ever heard that sentence ever before in your life?
The word success I've never heard before. Right, let's get into it. We always, if you've listened to every podcast, you'll know where we start. We start on the start line.
Yep.
We want to know what it's like for a rider as experienced as you, rolling through no man's land, probably even the build up to it. How are you feeling as you're putting your helmet on, tyre warmers are coming off, you're getting on your bike, you're saying kind of cheerio to your team. How does it feel?
There's nothing else like it, I suppose, but it's I suppose it depends if you're actually in a race or if you're in a lap of practice, really. Sometimes I'm just sort of rolling up to line, just looking at the temperature, just trying not to overheat, and then I'm just thinking about normally I think if you've done a few laps of practice, I'll be thinking who's setting off in front of me and who's behind me and where they're going to catch me and where I'm going to catch the other guy. I'd just be sort of thinking about that at the time, but yeah, just trying to get away clean, and it's when you eventually get that tap, it's like we're away,
Do you feel that tap? Because a lot of people have said,
I look at the guy with the little flag. I don't know if you're the same, but I look at the guy with the little flag, really, and then as soon as he gives it the little, it just happens so fast, and he just gives it a little like that, then it's effortless, isn't it? And I don't really feel the tap. But to be fair, sometimes, you're trying to get away, and your man, he's got hold of you, hasn't he? He's got a real good grip here,
So maybe the question shouldn't be what's it feel like to get the tap on the shoulder, what's it feel like to see that flag?
To get away, to get away. Oh, it's mint in it, it's nothing else like it, is it?
So is that the same with you as it is with probably most people? As soon as the clutch is out,
you're away, you're through the box, clear. And as soon as you get through that first set of traffic lights, everything's forgotten in it, and you're in the zone then, aren't you? And
that's the thing. Like, people think, you've got time to build into or whatever. You're doing 170 miles an hour by the time you get to a set of traffic lights that you're never normally stopped at or going through at 25 miles an hour.
I've never gone through them on green. Yeah.
I'm definitely not at 170 miles an hour.
No.
So and then that's it. But that's the thing about the TT. Slightly changed now because you get that warm up lap. but you are sometimes going from fresh, maybe 11:30 in the morning, depending what time the race is.
Yeah.
You're going from walking up to Glen Crutchley Road, cocking your leg over your bike, 270 within seconds.
That's actually a good question. Do you like or dislike the warm-up lap? Because everybody's in different...
Yeah, I don't know if I like it or dislike it. I mean, it can be used sometimes. It just depends how the week's going.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have a race later, but the warm-up lap, you won't even be on that bike because you'll be trying something if you've lost an engine earlier in the week and you've got to run that engine, as you know. So, do I like it? I'd say I prefer not to have it if everything's going well, because I don't want to fatigue my body, especially before the 6-lapper. You don't want to really put any fatigue on myself or on the engines as much as reliable as the modern stuff is now. But, you know, certainly in the Supersport class, everything's on the limit, innit? And you don't want to put another lap on your bike if you can help it. So, yeah, but I suppose if it's there, then you sometimes feel a fool for not taking it, don't you? But, yeah less can be more sometimes, can't it?
And does it change your perspective from that moment you set off then? Because you'll have done them as well.
It's very clever. What he said is very, very true. So if things are going good and you don't need it, then a lot of people don't bother. It's only if things aren't going good, then you really need it. It's either you don't need it at all or you really need it. No other which way you wouldn't do it, if that makes sense. So so I think it's better that it is there and you've got the option, because you can always not go, whereas you can't go out if there's no warm-up lap. You can't just go and ride because it's not there. So I think it is beneficial that it is there and you can decline it, which is up to you. But there's some people that I think it gives them a disadvantage. To say someone like Gary Johnson, who was like a really good man at the first 2 sectors, like he'd always nearly be thereabouts leading, because he could just get out of the gate. And then if there was other people that were steadier starters, say like Pete, that had maybe done the warm-up lap, and then that would leave him losing that advantage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
do you think anybody goes out with the intention of just getting the brain up to speed, just going out for that first 2 or 3 miles?
I think so. I think some people do. I mean, we probably all should do. I mean, I don't really mind just going off at the start of the race, because I suppose we've had to, haven't we? But I think we're all different, aren't we? And some people need that, brush up to speed sometimes,
But it's like a.
I think sometimes as well, if you're racing that bike later in the day, I think if you break down, you've had it and you can't get back. I think so.
But then you would have broke down in the first lap anyway.
You would have done. So.
But there's no other sport where you 100-meter sprint. You don't just rock up to a 100-meter sprint and just get on the line and go. You kind of do your warm up, you get in your zone and all that jazz. But with this, it's literally
you tear a hamstring or something.
To be fair, in my second Olympics, that's the way.
How did you get on?
No comment. What, you didn't see me?
I'd love to see.
He won, obviously.
Yeah. That's why I'm here today doing this.
What event would you be in?
High jump, obviously. Did you even need to ask that question?
Sorry, yeah.
That was a bit disrespectful.
I thought you'd be the hammer.
What, I'm the actual hammer?
Just grab you by the legs and spin you around.
You're dying to say something else, but you can't possibly say it on here.
Anyway, it's not about you. It's about Craig.
Correct.
Craig, tell us where the TT journey started for you. Obviously, we've looked through stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of races, from club racing, British Superbike, road racing. You've kind of done a bit of everything. Yeah,
I've done a little bit of stuff, It started from, here where we're filming this at the Manx Grand Prix, it started 2014 for me, Manx Grand Prix newcomers, which I always wanted to come and win the Manx before I went to the TT. I did always want to race at the TT, but I thought, doing a bit of club racing. I was doing British Supersport at the time on a CBR 600, and I just thought, let's just have a good do there before we go in with the big guys, and because I always feel like I always say to my crew, and at the minute with the classic bike, they're trying to sort of, if the weather's good this week, we're not going out in every session because we don't know where the bike's at, and I'm like, I feel like I need more laps than everyone else. I always feel like I'm like quite a slow learner, so I need to ride more than the other guys, is what I feel anyway. So I thought, anyway, let's go to the Manx, let's just do our own work, have a good result there. But it was never run sort of like this event is now. It was always, we never used to get any laps. It used to be like, we could be like 3 days before we turn a wheel. And it was a 2-week event back then, but it was, 3-4 days before we turn a wheel. I'm like, bloody hell, I've only done like 1 lap this week. I need...
Yeah, there was no contingency plan.
No contingency. I mean, it's meant, we're looking at a double session tomorrow. It's mega, isn't it? But I'm sure the boys won't let me go out when it over. You know what I mean? So it started 2014. It started for me, and I think I was in the newcomers race, which would have been lovely to win it, but there was Billy Redmayne here, Malachi Mitchell Thomas, which were... They were
a good year.
It was an unbelievable year, and they were mega fast out of the box. I think they was doing like 21s. I think I did 112 on me, not in that race, but my best lap of the week was 112. I think there's newcomers here that have done that on the first night, 112.
Yeah, there's young Manx kids done 114.
First or second lap, I'm like, fuck, that's amazing, he's on it, isn't he? But yeah, and I think people get to a certain level, and then some people do that, and some people sort of plateau, don't they? Yeah. But for me, 2014, we finished 7th in the newcomers race, I think. But I think we only got to do like 9 or 10 laps or something. I was quite disappointed, but I said to my dad, we'll come back in 15, we'll have another go. I had a silly crash here. Is the first one Sarah's cottage, or was that Kate's cottage after Glen Ellen?
You're asking the wrong person. I'm bad with
Sarah's.
Well, it was the first cottage of the two, and it was just a bit of a greasy. I was too cautious on the. It had rained a little bit before, and I was a bit too cautious on the white line. I just sort of run across the white line. It was a little bit greasy. Just lost the front, picked the bike up, and I just ran into the exit, and I went over the bank, and that was the first race, and then that led to a mechanical in the second race. So again, I was coming away with hardly any laps. That was 15.
Yeah.
So we just said to my dad, we'll do the TT in 16. We'll get a big bike, and we'll just go and enter all the classes, and we'll just obviously. And I think the weather was amazing in 16, and we just had stacks of laps, and things just started to improve.
But that was the first hot year I remember before watching this year. Like 16 was really.
I think people were just worried about wearing engines.
Yeah,
and things
there were more
out
wrecks before racing even started.
Yeah.
I can't remember 16.
Yeah, it was a mega year.
Before you were sort of a big deal.
Yeah. Where's this love of coming to the TT stem from? Because like you say, you're British Supersport.
Yeah, did you do other road races before that?
I did do the Northwest that year as a newcomer.
But literally, so that was 2 weeks before, or 1 week, whatever way the dates fell.
Yeah.
But that was the Northwest was your first.
Northwest first, was doing a little bit of British stuff, then went back into club racing for a little bit, and then I just sort of. I wasn't really getting anywhere in BSB, so I thought, but the long-term thing for me was always to go to the road, so I thought, sort of, I've learned how to ride a bike and things, and, I think I can do it safely now, so I thought we'd go to the Northwest.
And you're, the points then for your licence and stuff, because I didn't have an ACU licence then, because I had an MCI, but you have to do, like, certain amounts of races and stuff to get points to come to the TT.
Mountain course. I think it's I think in the previous year you have to do 3 meetings, and then in the current year you have to do 3 meetings, or I think 6 or 7 in the same year. So we've done a little bit of club racing and a couple of rounds of BSB, and and that was it. Northwest, Manx, and we was into it. Hooked obviously, and just wanted to keep improving,
But why? Why the roads?
Do you know? I don't know. I just think in whatever sport you do, realistically, I know everyone would love to be in MotoGP, but realistically, you want to ride at the highest level you can. And I always thought, road racing, TT's the pinnacle in it, I think, anyway. And I wanted to be there. Eventually, I would love to win a race one day. That's what I'm working towards. But I know we're way off it at the minute. But we've got to just keep taking little steps,
Well,
and working hard.
If you're not in it, you're never going to win it, are you?
Yeah, I think not. I think so. So we just got to. Hopefully Hickman keeps breaking down. We don't really break down much, does he? I don't know who's going to stop him, but if you're not in it, mate, you don't have a chance, do you?
That's your problem, Lee. That's why you didn't win it this year.
That is, yeah.
So where did your love of roads come from? Just being Irish?
You probably
Irish,
don't know. Yeah, you don't recognise this, but I am originally from Northern Ireland, even though I've got a Yorkshire accent now.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, sometimes it just sort of blurs into the distance. But yeah, growing up for me, like what he said there. When I was a kid, like my heroes were like going to the Northwest. I obviously went to watch World Superbikes and stuff, but like I think like people like Richard Britton, who's from the same area as me, and seeing things like that, and I just thought it was unbelievable. The atmosphere. Like we were going to Portrush. That was a holiday really for us because that was where we went, and there's maybe 80,000 people there cheering on these things. And the thing used to piss me off was English guys used to come over on factory bikes and win. So like even when I win the Northwest now, I'm like, oh, there's one back for us. And even though like Glenn and Seeley and all are winning all these races, it's like that's the first sort of thing I can remember as a kid that it was English guys, because they were BSB riders and they deserved to be on a factory bike. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't as many Irish riders then as there is now, probably in British Championship and stuff. So yeah, just growing up and seeing
it was always going to happen.
Yeah, same thing.
How about you then, Craig? Did you have any fascination with the TT when you were a young kid? Was there a fascination about bikes from family?
Yeah, growing up, my dad did what BSB was called back in the day, but he used to ride like the Supersport class there, and he did the Manx in 93, 94, I think. But I've no memory of that. But yeah, and obviously I've just sort of been brought up around it. I had, the chance to ride motocross and bits and bobs when I was younger, but I was more into football, to be fair, and I never really expressed much of an interest in it. And then the football career sort of come to an end when I was 16 or 17 due to an injury. I was playing for a club at the time, and I just thought, what am I going to do next? Obviously, I knew my dad was involved in the sport kind of thing, and I just thought I wouldn't mind a bash at that. And then I just did it, and then obviously I got hooked on it and wanted to improve, and that was sort of. I'm a bit like, I need something to focus on. I couldn't just like go to work every day, come home, go to work, come home, and I just need something to work towards a goal, So here we are still, what we now 12, 13 years into it, still working towards it, but I'm still enjoying it,
Have you ever asked your dad what he thinks about that? Like, because obviously we've both got kids and I have a little boy, and I don't really want him to race motorbikes, so you got to nearly being an adult, and your dad probably thought, well, we've avoided this really well. Yeah. And then have you ever asked him? No, or
I haven't, and he's heavily involved in the teams I ride in as well. Fantastic spanner man and good to have in the camp, but the thought of my little lad racing around here, mate, I couldn't even.
That's how selfish we are. He still does it. Still puts his dad through. Yeah. Like, my lad's not.
Yeah, my dad's never missed a meeting. He's never missed a meeting. But obviously, I've been through the same with you. A few months ago. The injuries have happened and things like that, and he's been there. And obviously, you don't know what sort of news you're going to get told, do you? Especially at their meetings, and it's you can't imagine what you put your family through, can you? So.
But you don't care, do you? You still do.
We do care, but it's like
it's not enough to stop.
When you get that, when you get that tap on the shoulder, all that's sort of gone, and you're just in the moment, aren't you? But
that's it.
We're terrible blokes, aren't we?
Yeah. If your dad's raced before, he knows what it's like.
Yeah, 100%.
But I see that's why I've asked him. I think that's worse.
Do you think?
Because I had this conversation with Milky, and the more the more of an understanding you have of something, I think the worse that makes. So like, say if I watched Jesse on his POE and Christy watched him, I could see him nearly crash 10 times, and I'm like, oh my way. And she's like going, oh, he's just riding around. Do you know what I mean? Because of the difference. Whereas his dad knows the feeling, he knows when he goes up the start line, he knows what it's like to go down Bray Hill flat out, all them things, and he thinks, oh, he's got the Ramsey now. He knows literally everything. So I think that makes it
true,
worse.
But your dad knows what the feeling's like.
Oh, right? On the other side of
it.
On them good days, on them very few good days that happen.
But even just dumping the clutch and going, like, there is, I dare say there's no other feeling like it in the world.
Mate,
so for him to stop you doing that would be... And I think your kids would be the same, right?
Yeah.
He'd never stop me, even if we, got another... I've had a couple of big injuries, and like after the last few, I've sort of thought, obviously in the recovery, when you go through the darkest days you've ever been in, and you're thinking, I can maybe take one more of these big ones, and that's it, But obviously he's been through all that, and he knows the feeling. But he never forced me to stop. I think it would have to come from me, or it might get to a time where he's seen me in some states. He might say, enough's enough. We can't keep doing this. Obviously financial as well. That side of things, we can't keep skinting ourselves to go racing, and then you're coming home, in a body bag or that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So I would think if things were getting like that, he'd say enough's enough, and I think he would step in. We talk quite straight and blunt in our team, and we can all be honest with each other, and that's just how we are.
I'm always fascinated by what is said and what isn't said in a team, because even now we're at the Manx.
There's different variables, like what he has said there, because you're a straight talking lad, and some motorbike racers aren't, you know what I mean? Some people don't like being told the truth, and I think it's better. Our team works the same way as you, but it's like some riders need to be given a bit of a cuddle and not a massage as in physically, but mentally, like, oh, you're good enough, all this jazz, whereas some other riders just need to go, listen, it's you today, it's not the bike, so we're not changing anything. No, there's different variables in. It's probably the same as football or anything. People that are good managers are far more important than maybe tactical, because at the end of the day, it's the brain that rules the body. But I think what you mean is it's better to be straight talk.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
You know that if your dad did say it, it's always for your benefit.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know?
Obviously, we've got the little fella now, you know what I mean, and we've got to think about him and my little girl as well. So, but they're all, back home, they're all behind me and they all want me to do well. But like you say, on them very few good days you get, it's the best thing in the world, isn't it? But there's a lot more bad days, than good days. And I'm not talking about injuries, I'm just talking about when the results out there and things, it's tough, isn't it? Yeah. It's tough.
Well, that's it. As a racer, the only good day you ever really have is the day you win, right?
Yeah.
I mean, personal bests.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
and to win a Supersport TT, it would be, like if you didn't come back racing, like for me, if I could win one TT and never raced again, I'd think, I've done all right here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But, that's what I used to think as well.
Yeah, but now you're probably working hard to come back. I don't know, but he's not mentioned it, has he? But,
I still don't count that as half a TT.
Yeah, but you got to be in it, mate, haven't you? You got to be in it, haven't you?
I'm joking. A TT win's a TT win, and your not that trophy, but your name's on the trophy.
That first, I've no experience of running at the front here, but that first lap's key in it, and obviously if you're in the mix on that first lap, then you're there when the red flag comes out, aren't you? You're in the mix, aren't you?
Yeah. So let's talk about the fact that your class as a privateer, you're in a team now next to the likes of Michael Rutter, but you've literally still got your day job. Mm-hmm. You're still funding it all yourself to a certain degree. Yeah. How hard and how challenging is that?
To be fair, it's been extremely challenging. And it was fantastic when Michael got in touch at the start of this year, because I wasn't expecting anything like that. And he got in touch, and we sort of we come together a little bit, like we just sort of joined my team and his team. So I come in with my bikes and my crew. Mm-hmm. And it was good and Michael's helped us a little bit financially with the tyres and fuel this year, which has been a massive help, to be honest. But it was good to have him in the corner, because he was coming up with stuff. Because I'm just like, I'm trying to ride the bike, and I'm not trying to change everything dramatically. I'm just trying to work with what I've got, without trying to reinvent the wheel, he's looking at things like the way I'm sat on the bike, and just things like the seat position and the screen, and just things that I wouldn't normally get involved.
Michael is a very, very technical person. Like, I know this is not me I'd love to slag him off, but because he is the age that he is, people think that he's just out there for a dilly-dally round or what. He's still going very fast, but he still thinks a lot about little details. Even I've been lucky enough to go to Australia with him and ride classic bikes, and he'd be like, oh, well, if we bring the bars in a little bit, that's a bit more aero, and if you sit in this position, that's the weight transfer is better. And he's a very technical person, so that's probably a bigger value than tyres and fuel.
Absolutely.
Even though that is important.
Yeah, that's what I said to, obviously, Mark Hanna who's involved with me. That's what I said to Mark when we sort of said, right, we're going to do it. And he just said, look, if we get nothing from Michael apart from his experience this year, it will be worth doing. And it has been, definitely, because we had a really difficult practice week. I mean, the weather was mint, and there should be no excuse, but that Fireblade was so difficult for me, and I just could not get it to go in a straight line. But obviously we worked through it with Michael and Mark, and we got there in the end, and we had a really good senior, in the end. So, but it was difficult, and I just wish I could have started with that bike at practice week, because I know we could have done a lot more. But obviously we've got that to look forward to next year now.
And then the other side is, if you didn't have Michael and that there, you might not have even got to the point.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, back to what you're saying, the sort of doing it as a privateer, it's been extremely difficult, because I'm trying to work more. I always just say to my dad, just have 1 year just to do it properly, and I just can show people what I'm capable of. I think just look more into my training side of things, and just to not turn up at a race meeting stressed to the max. I've been trying to get jobs mopped up so customers aren't disappointed while I'm away for 2 weeks or whatever. But I'm not the only guy doing it. And we've just got to stop crying about it and just keep working hard.
Yeah, you're certainly one of the closest to the. You look at like the likes of Jamie Coward as well.
Yeah,
and then there's potentially you. Who else would I be forgetting?
There's like Rob Hodgson. I'd say me and Rob are in a similar situation. I do look at what Jamie's doing a lot, because. And again, I think
Jamie sort of took that step now.
Absolutely,
absolutely,
and rightly so as well. He's, because we sort of looked at it like, do we really need a superbike? Well, no, we don't, because look at what Hickey's done on stocker. I know I would say it's a special stocker, but if you look at what Jamie's done, like he's still working and stuff, and he's on a super stock bike, and he's done I think it was a 32 flat, and until I'm doing that, you ain't even got to think about a superbike, have you? You just got to keep,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, so I do look at what he's doing because I think he's doing a mega job, and he deserves everything he's getting, you know.
I think it doesn't go unnoticed because I notice obviously because I work and run an R team, but I know how hard he has to work. Well, obviously not because he's doing a day job, and then all the other stuff that comes with it. So
because they're still running the team as well as the
riding.
riding.
It's like having two jobs, and I unfortunately, it annoys me a little bit because we go to BSB every weekend, and I see all these kids that literally. They struggle to bring their helmet and their kit bag, and that's all they have to do. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking if you only knew, but now I think that benefits me because I do all them other things, and then all of a sudden I get there and I think, doesn't mean you deserve it more, but you think, well, I've done all this and I'm gonna enjoy this. Do you know what I mean? Whereas sometimes I struggle the same as you. If I'm not busy, it stresses me out. Do you know what I mean? So I have to have things to do. So you need to be careful thinking that maybe if you would be better quitting work, maybe work a little bit less. You can train, but
100%.
I think if you quit, then it is a negative, and it was to me a little bit at times because I'd end up then not needing to work, and then I'd go, I'd get bored, and then I'd end up taking on a load of stuff like a personal job or something, and then I was doing more work that I didn't need, and I'd be like, why have I done this? And it's just a vicious circle. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And like I thought, what do we do? Do we try and wind in? Because like after the TT, normally I try and get back into BSB, and then we're sort of on the run to here, and then maybe Macau. But like this year, it ain't going to happen because I'm still sort of trying to pay for the TT, and I'm having this shoulder surgery after this meeting, so we won't be carrying on. But I thought, well, do we just try and do a little bit less next year? A little bit less work and just work on the training in the winter. Try and do a better TT again. You see, I thought like a 30.8, which I thought, that's maybe I'll get an opportunity, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So, but when you think about like there was me, Sean, Rob, who else was we did a 130? Me, Sean, and Rob Herbertson did a 130 this year, and then but maybe that's like what 125 used to be. It's not good enough anymore, is it? It's not good enough. So
I wouldn't say it about this. When people talk about like obviously you've got a really good understanding what a 130 mile an hour is, right? And I'll go being a pub or restaurant, and people go, oh yeah, he did 134, he did 135. I'm like, you have got no idea what this means, until anyone that does 125 mile an hour is a bloody good ride.
Yeah, they're having a go, aren't they? They're having
a go. They are not riding around waving at people. They are fully in the job. Do you know what I mean? So I think this whole thing gets a little bit lost, and people. It doesn't.
And sort of when I got there, it was. I mean, because coming up to the TT, people, what are your expectations? What are your hopes? And that, and I because you don't look an idiot and you try not to really say too much. But really, what I was coming into the TT looking at was top tens in every race and 130 if I could. And I thought, and we've been sort of stuck on 127 due to various things over the years. So we come from I was still doing 127 up till the senior.
It's a big jump.
It was a big jump, and I think that's probably why I ran on at Whitegates. I think we was in 8th on lap 4, and I ran on at Whitegates, turned back round, come back, I think about 15th, but we got back to 11th. And I think we lost to Rob by 5 seconds for the 10th. So I've actually finished 11th in the senior for the last 3 years. It looks like I haven't progressed at all.
You were realistically or better.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I think we did the 11th fastest lap of the week. I think it was. Yeah, I think I was 11th, and then McGuinness, and then Jamie I think was in front of me. So yeah, we've done all right. But and then when you've done, I think it was a 30.8, 31.1 in ideals. Not that I've analysed it, but. And then you're like, I've done it now. So now you're looking at like, right, we're looking at a 31, and then we're looking at a 32, and then we're sort of, fuck knows, I'm going to get a 36. But that's light years away. But
there's two ways of looking at it. Is like, you think that you haven't, but you've jumped 3 mile an hour in one. Yeah. So why do you just go another 2 TTs? You're going to be at 136.
Yeah, easy as that, eh? Easy as that. Easy as that. I don't know if these bloody bikes keep getting faster and be able to hold on to them, but it'd be nice if they did what they did at Scarborough and just go to 600s. I think it would be all right.
Yeah, that'd be good with me as well.
You'd be happy with that one.
Yeah.
You might win a few more. Yeah. Maybe.
Full ones.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what though, I mean, you'll know this, them big 6-lap races, when no matter where you finish, when and and you've given it all, 2 pit stops, the lads have all worked out, and you get to the end of it, it's like an amazing feeling, isn't it? It's like...
Hold it right there, Craig. We are going to pause this episode, and you can join us next week to find out what Craig has got to say about his future at the TT. In fact, here's a little clip for you right now.
I probably turned up at the TT probably in the worst shape I ever have done, although we had a probably the best TT I've had done, probably due to the years I've been coming. But things just got easier in a week, and I was seeing Isla Scott, and she was helping out, and it was just, it was tough, mate. But I ain't the only one who's riding injured, and everyone's got a little something going on, haven't they?
And you can watch that episode first right here on TT Plus because you subscribed, which was free. Until next time, see you soon. Bye, Lee. Wave to the camera.